Have you ever been labeled before? I've been labeled dyslexic since I was 6 years old because I read slow and spelling is hard for me. Right now, I'd like you to look to the two people to your left, now the two people to your right. 1 in 5 of you could have dyslexia, ADD, ADHD, dyscalculia, dysgraphia, or one of the other many learning disabilities. You're probably wondering, why do people label each other? Well, it's hard to imagine what it's like to have a learning disability. It's also natural to want to label what's different than you. And learning disabilities aren't something that are easy to understand. This sentence is a great example of what a sentence might look like to a dyslexic person. But today I'd like to debunk myths and relieve fears by defining dyslexia, explaining hurdles, providing solutions, and finally, convincing you to stop labeling people incorrectly. Dyslexia is a learning disorder marked by the impairment to recognize and comprehend written words. In simple terms, it takes a reader 4 times to learn a new word, and dyslexic many more times over a longer period of time. But there are 3 hurdles that we have to overcome today. The first one is diagnosing dyslexia, understanding that the brains are wired differently, and understanding that dyslexics learn differently. There are 2 problems with diagnosing dyslexia. First, teachers are not taught to diagnose it, and second, parents don't want to label on their child. But early diagnosis is important. Jennifer Aniston was 20 years old when she was diagnosed with dyslexia. She said the revelation that she had dyslexia was life-changing. She thought she couldn't retain anything and wasn't smart during school. The second hurdle that we have to overcome is understanding that our brains are wired differently. So when I read a word, I have to reread the word, respell the word, and rethink about the word before I understand what the word actually is. And our last hurdle is understanding that dyslexics learn differently. Since we make poor grades in the classroom, we are seen as lazy, unmotivated, and careless. And those make us feel stupid, incapable, and failures. But research has proven that we are creative out-of-the-box thinkers and have a high critical thinking skill. But there are 2 simple solutions. First is rethink learning and use accommodations. You're probably wondering, how do you rethink learning? Since 80% of the classroom learns by reading, that is said to be the best way that people learn. But that is false, because if your sight was taken away from you, would you be considered lazy, unmotivated, or stupid? No, because the blind learn by using Braille and listening. Dyslexics also learn by listening. So a dyslexic could have a high IQ but a low reading score. Our second solution is use accommodations. Accommodations should be normal in classroom, not exceptions, so people that have to use them don't feel different or left out. Some accommodations that I have used in classrooms are use extra time on tests, take a test in a quiet room, highlight my strengths, and not count off for spelling. Do you recognize any of these people? Billionaire Richard Branson, George Washington, Whoopi Goldberg, and Einstein. These people are all intelligent, successful, innovative, creative, talented, skilled leaders, and they are all dyslexic. So would you consider labeling them? And today I'd like you to make a change. Think twice before you label someone that is different than you. Be understanding of what is different than you, and don't think less of somebody because they are different.